Welcome everyone to the Nerd Nook. I'm your host, Evan Teague, and with me like always is Noah Bailey. So, Eternals finally came out, and we're here to review it today. So, quick, no spoilery thoughts, go.
The theme music's a bop, first of all. I did want to say that just right off the top.
The score in general of this movie was very good.
I was humming that for like 4 days in a row. Well, basically since I've seen it. Yeah, like in the car. It's like it was really good. And it kind of got the whole vibe of like, yeah, we're pretty much a big deal. So that was really good. But yeah, overall thoughts, pretty solid. Not the best, not the worst by any means. What Rotten Tomatoes, I don't think it deserves the worst Marvel movie ever by any means. So let's not get there. But yeah.
So, do you have anything else very briefly you want to say?
Oh no, just middle of the road.
So I do like the movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I have several notes, several questions, several things that I would have done very different. But overall, I thought it actually turned out pretty good. But like, maybe, so let me ask if this makes sense. I think this movie benefited a lot from these characters and these stories not being very well known.
Yes.
Because like something like BVS, like for how much stuff they change or get wrong or do in a way I don't like, most of my anger to the movie comes out of me caring about those characters so much. And that's why those things bother me so much. Same with something like Rise of Skywalker or Wonder Woman 1984. Like, I care about those worlds, those characters, those universes so much. It frustrates me to no end that those movies were made like that. But I don't know what a deviant is. I didn't know who Icarus or Makari or Cersei or any of these people were.
Gilgamesh is the man, though.
Gilgamesh is the goat.
I love Gilgamesh.
Yes. Like, maybe they changed everything about every single one of these characters. I would not know or care.
Nope.
And I think it's overall better for that.
Yes.
So essentially any issue I have is strictly from a like filmmaking and like story perspective, which it is at least, I think, significantly less of an issue than something like BVS, where I think it just has huge glaring holes of why is Superman like this? Batman shouldn't be doing that. Why
That's
is Wonder
not how
Woman here?
Doomsday works.
That's not how Doomsday works.
Right.
Like,
having more
deviants can't do that. Like, this is like
exactly.
the Eternals issue too. Like,
that's not how her powers work. They're supposed to be based like, exactly.
No,
it's like by having more knowledge of the source material, you're able to more like deeply critique. But because the only thing I know about Eternals is that apparently they're Marvel characters, like that's really, I have no knowledge to critique them on like a more sophisticated level other than just like, oh, I didn't like that. Oh, that's okay. Oh, that wasn't that great, etc.
Yeah. So like overall, if you're just going into a superhero movie wanting to see some cool superhero action, this is a movie for you. Like, I would honestly say, like, even if you're not really that well versed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like, this isn't a bad like jumping off point, because as long as you know a Thanos happened, Iron Man and Captain America exist, that's pretty much the only real references outside of like to the Marvel Universe outside of this movie that really.
And even though they're like throwaway references, they're not even like essential to the plot. They kind of just happen.
They literally only happen just to make sure you remember you're in a Marvel movie.
Right. It was kind of more like a memory jog than actually this is important because this happened. It was more like, oh yeah, this happened. What was up with that? Why weren't you there for that?
Yeah, because like the Celestials had been in previous movies and referenced here and there, but like if this was your first introduction to the Celestials as a concept, like I think that's fine if this was your first introduction
Yeah.
to, you know, so like Marvel, how Marvel superpowers in general work, or just how the world is. I think this is a pretty decent jumping off point. However, I definitely would not recommend this movie over several other Marvel movies, stuff like that. And yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and drop a spoiler warning. If you've somehow not seen it yet, I guess we can just, you know, talk freely about the movie itself. Where do you want to jump off from here?
Do you want to talk about characters? You want to talk about the story? Where do you want to go first?
So I also do want to say, from the trailers, I was super afraid that I wasn't going to like the Deviants at all. I was afraid that they were just going to be a kind of like generic enemy that was just like a big gray blob, and that was just kind of their whole thing. But I actually really liked the variety of the different kind of Deviants. I actually like their designs a lot more than I thought I would. Did you kind of feel the same?
Okay, so here I didn't know. My thing was, for like half a second, they thought they were going to go into the whole backstory of the Deviants there, and I was so on board for it. And then they kind of just dropped it, and I was very disappointed because it kind of felt like they were going to go into kind of like how in Captain Marvel, it's like, oh, the Skrulls are bad. Actually, Uno reverse card, we're the good guys. They're the, you know what I mean? Or not even that, but like just seeing their side of the story, other than just, yeah, we're monsters. Like having an actual like investment in the gray faceless villains was actually like, I was very excited for that. And I feel like they had something for that, but cut it for whatever reason. Because like,
yes. So
big disappointment.
I feel like what the number one major issue I have with this movie, I'm going to talk a lot more positive later, but just the number one issue I have with this movie is I feel there's at least two different movies, like two different scripts kind of smashed together.
Yeah.
One that involved the Deviants being the main villains, and one like ones that like didn't even really have the Deviants at all, and it was just the, you know, them trying to stop the Celestial inside Earth from waking up. And they had like really cool story for the Deviants with that main like super deviant guy, like, you know, stealing all the different Eternals powers, and like he was going to be the big third act gray villain, and like that was just going to be probably a more boring movie. But I think if they had kind of, like you said, Uno reverse card, and like, we were created to be bad, we can't help it, like like that could have actually been something. But because of the way the movie is structured as it is right now, the main super deviant guy shows up at the very beginning, and then shows up an hour later randomly in the forest, steals Gilgamesh's powers, which are dope.
Yes.
And then he, like, after he steals Gilgamesh's power, he, like, you know, becomes more of a humanoid form and starts to like talk and stuff. I'm like, okay, like, are him and Icarus gonna like team up to like try to stop them from stopping the no, literally an hour goes by again before the villain just shows up in the middle of the climax.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Again, like, where have you been? You had no problem popping up, you know, when it was convenient earlier, but now it's just like,
just came out of the ocean, middle of the climax, just to remind. Oh, just remember. Oh yeah, I'm in this too. It's like,
yes,
you didn't have to be.
no, like they forgot about it halfway through and like, oh right, there's more villains. It's like, bro.
and I feel like part of the script rewrite, initially Icarus wasn't actually a villain. Like originally, I think it was gonna be like him, like kind of realizing he's not actually strong enough to take on this main deviant by himself. That deviant has a name, but I can't be bothered to know it. They never told us. I'm not looking it up.
No, the only names I remember are the ones I can remember from Greek mythology, and if I can't remember those, then I have no idea what it is.
Exactly. Like, because they were kind of building up like, Icarus can't hurt this thing. He shot it with his lasers. He punched it. He, did everything he can. He couldn't kill this thing on 2 separate occasions. So like him and this, and now he's even more powerful. Like him, Icarus, and this deviant have this beef, but like maybe it's something like Icarus has to like, come to grips with he actually does need help from the others. Something, again, it probably would have been a less interesting movie, but I think that was originally what they were going for. But then after it killed Gilgamesh, it just kind of, the beef kind of became Athena's thing. Like he shows up and Athena's like, oh, you killed Gilgamesh, now I'm gonna kill you, and then she does, and that's it.
Yeah. And that's kind of my thing. Like, I feel like not that I didn't like some character, but like I feel like the movie kind of focused on the wrong character sometimes. Because it kind of felt like it was trying to make a big arc for one character, and then other characters would still be doing stuff, but then it would kind of just drop it. Because like the whole thing with like Thena and like kind of not even sure what to call it, but like her crazy, I don't want to say
it Mad Weary.
Yeah, something like that.
But I don't know if that's even like actually a thing, or if it was just like when they erased her memory the previous time something went wrong, or if it actually is a thing where Eternals, their memories like try to kill them.
Yeah, which I feel like they could have again expanded on that a lot more too.
Yes, that was another like probably my second biggest issue with the movie as a whole, and really my only other main major issue. I feel like this movie could have and should have delved way deeper into like focusing in on the memories and experiences of the Eternals kind of as a through line for the movie, because the movie takes place over like 7,000 years, mostly in the present, but it does like these flashbacks to past experiences that are kind of relevant to what's currently happening. But I feel it would have been really cool if like it was a thing where something happens in the main timeline and then like one of them like has like visibly has a flashback to a memory that you are watching right now. Like this is a memory that they're having, and it's not just, oh, the movie's going to show the audience something that happened in the past.
Yeah.
Because with the Mad Weary being this thing that's like, oh, like all of her memories are like compacted together and they're like, she's now gone crazy. And Thena's whole thing is remember, like that was Gilgamesh's last words to her. I think if they had this memory thing to not only, I think, be a very interesting theme, but also contextualize the flashbacks, could have been very interesting.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, like having a story kind of like in the present, but then like take turns with different characters having flashbacks at different time periods.
Yeah, that also could have been an interesting way to like show how different characters thought about different experiences. Like you flash back to like, Cersei's perspective, then you flash to how Icarus or the mind reading guy, I don't remember his name. Like I think he would have had a very different perspective about all of this. Like
exactly, and I think that's important.
Yeah. It also doesn't help that I think this movie had like too many characters.
I would say like 4, personally, because I feel like
literally.
Sorry, because like some of them didn't even get introduced till like more than halfway through anyway. So it's kind of like at this point you're kind of just adding characters to have more, and it kind of felt a little, I guess, not. I don't know. Like I don't want to say not focused, but like not. It felt like we didn't know enough about the other characters to kind of get their perspectives.
Yeah, like in Zack Snyder's Justice League, you had 4 hours to introduce 6 characters. Yeah, 6 characters, and I think it didn't really do that very well. Here you have 2.5 hours to introduce like 10 characters.
Yep.
And we definitely 11 if you count Kit Harington. Like it did it very well with certain characters, and yet others either died before we really got to know them, or were introduced so late that we didn't really get to learn much about them.
Yeah.
So, and Thena is literally only there just for Marvel to have an excuse to have Angelina Jolie in their movie.
Which bothers me because I'm like, why didn't you just make her the main character? Like, again, like I understand that, like, you know, some people you want to have for bigger or smaller role, but I noticed like the two biggest like actresses had like the least screen time, it felt like, because one of them died and the other one kind of just was around when needed to be not Wonder Woman. But
yeah, like
yeah,
it is weird that because of the way the movie, because of the way the movie was scripted and the way it was shot, Selma Hayek, their second biggest actress, couldn't be in more than like 10 minutes of it outside of flashbacks because she was the first to die.
right.
And then Thena, Angelina Jolie's character, they're definitely their biggest star, was like having these mental episodes throughout most of it, so she couldn't really be an active player in a lot of it.
Yeah, she was kind of more. I'm not gonna lie, she was kind of a plot device, honestly, which I didn't love. But
which if she just wasn't in the movie, I think they not to mention, well, because I really like the idea of the Mad Weary, of the whole memories trying, like, come back up to kill you. It also kind of ties into Ajax lie about like them being way older than they actually are, but them not knowing that. But at the same time, it didn't have to be her. It didn't have to be.
Nope.
Like I feel like it could have been.
I feel like it could have been
cool
Icarus
way.
and would have been a lot easier because he was already kind of stronger and more crazy-ish. And then like I feel like that would have worked more. Because they ended up fighting him anyway.
So but at the same time, I kind of like him. I kind of like him being like not possessed and weird and just being evil. Like in his, like, I personally like a villain where in their mind they are 100% like, I am the good guy. I am right here. I didn't love. Oh, what is that guy's name? Kingo. Kingo just kind of like was like I don't, I believe in Icarus. I agree with him, but I'm not going to fight him. So bye, and then just left the movie right before the climax.
Yeah.
And though I think he had the coolest power.
One of them definitely.
Like that, they didn't explain why he. There wasn't like a scene earlier in the movie of them really having a relationship. They talked like twice, and then
right. And I think that's the biggest problem, at least for me, with kind of a like when you have like, because whenever you have like a team, whether it's like the Teen Titans or the X-Men, just like whoever, like understanding the different characters' relationships, how they get along, is very important when there's internal conflict. So like when people are either butting heads or this is right and and that, it's like it's harder to be invested when you don't know how these people get along. It's kind of like when if you show up to someone else's family reunion and people are just going at it, you have no idea what's going on. But if you're like been in it and you see it and it's like, okay, these people have been arguing about that. That's why Civil War works very well, because like know how these guys get along together, so why they're trying to press each other's buttons, how they try to manipulate, one up each other, etc. And eventually it blows up. But here you kind of have like, people are like, oh, this and that. You get glimpses of it with like flashbacks or quick moments, and you've been doing this forever, 1,000 years or whatever. Come on, whatever. But like you haven't seen it, so you don't really know as well. So when it gets to it, you're kind of like, wait, is this like been an issue? I guess, is that a nerve that was touched? I'm sensing like, but
like legitimately, I feel like if that main uh if that main deviant guy hadn't been really in the movie at all, if you had just had it be where Icarus directly killed Ajax and just made it look like a deviant killed them, and then in that first scene in London, that's just a deviant emerges, after thousands of years. Like, it doesn't have to be some special one. It's just a random deviant is back now. Maybe Icarus knows he's coming, but like, just a deviant is back. They kill it, and it's like, we need to warn the others they're back. And then you can still fight deviants here and there with Icarus, like kind of like with watching through the movie again with knowledge that he actually is evil, kind of like allowing deviants to go certain ways. Like, you can still have Gilgamesh and the others, get injured or dying or whatever, but like have Icarus kind of be directly involved in it, but not like, you don't need that specific deviant to be the one doing it. I kind of feel it would have been stronger if Icarus himself was kind of facilitating their deaths.
Yeah, like give him
Yeah.
kind of more of like because like him being like evil kind of felt kind of like, I don't know, like it didn't really feel like I believed it. Not so that like it was like a surprise, but more it's just like, really? Like,
Yeah.
okay. Like, not that I didn't like it, but I feel like how it was executed, it didn't seem like it was like a oh no. It was kind of more of like a, because you don't really know the characters. So you're kind of just like, oh, I guess he's actually a jerk. Like, you kind of didn't really.
Like, especially since we had that scene where Icarus was about to tell Cersei why he left her, and then he didn't. And then later we get the flashback of Ajax telling him that he doesn't want the emergence to happen, and then he gets her killed. But then we never actually get confirmation of what exactly it was that made Icarus leave Cersei. Like, I guess it was something involving Ajax's plan, but we, the audience, weren't actually like confirmed that wasn't the case. I think that was something that was either cut for time or left out by accident. But yeah, that was that again. I think it's just because they were trying to juggle so many characters and did it decently, but they definitely could have done it a lot better.
Yeah. And I think they kind of knew they kind of were kind of right characters, and then kind of just ended up just kind of throwing their dynamics together and then kind of just assuming the audience figured out. And I hate to say it, but like, I kind of left this theater thinking my golden rule was like, if the movie makes you have to figure it out for it to start making sense or like put things together, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, I definitely have thought about this movie way more than I have, most other movies I've seen over the past couple of years, which is both a good and bad thing. Like, but not necessarily even like in a negative way, like Wonder Woman 84 or Rise of Skywalker or whatever. Like, I still thought about the like how good the relationship between Athena and Gilgamesh was, where it wasn't actually really a romantic relationship. It was just these two people just, are good friends and care for each other. And you don't really see that many dynamics like that on the big screen, where it's like these two people of opposite sexes, like, just have a normal relationship. Doesn't have to be romantic. They just care for each other, and that's fine. So the one thing that I think wowed me the most about this movie is Makari. Her use of speed in this movie is perfect. I've never seen any show or movie or any live action thing that actually used a speedster correctly and made it look good. Like, there was no weird slow-mo, there was no time manipulation. It was just, she moves fast, and that is cool.
Yeah, it looked good, and I think I did like too is it wasn't like nerfed. It was very much like, because everyone else's powers were pretty much like ridiculous. So like hers has to be pretty ridiculous too. And it was. It just kind of was like
Yeah.
she's fast. It wasn't like oh she's fast, but when they need to catch something, she slows down or she's not gonna like no, she can pretty much be anywhere in the world she wants to be.
When she slams into you, it creates a sonic boom and you die.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it. Like I remember
she was giving Icarus the business.
Yes, which I kind of said this. I was like, wait a minute, she could have done this the whole time. Why are we acting like? Granted, I know Icarus for some reason is like the only one that can fly, right?
Yeah.
Which again, I'm like, I feel like they should all be able to fly. But and again, or at least more than just Icarus. But I know that's kind of in his name, so I get it. But anyway, I'm like, but if he's on the ground, he should get lit up. Like you got him. Because I like the one time they were like, oh wait, find this, and then she just goes exactly where it is on Earth, and I'm just like, yeah, that's how super speed's supposed to work. You just like, oh, that's everything is within walking distance.
And the dumbest thing is they do that occasionally on the the Flash show where it's like where Barry is like, I'm gonna go scope out the perimeter. Okay, so I did a round. There's 8 guards here, here, and here. But then when we actually see him on screen use his speed, he's like barely faster than I am.
Or like or like depending on the moment in the show, he'll either be like he can either run across the country in a nanosecond, or he can't chase someone out of a room.
Yeah, he like can't dodge a bullet sometimes, but like other times he could run 5 miles in a microsecond. Like it's come on.
It's just like, how is that even like are all the times like I think of one time it wasn't even a fly, it was an Arrow episode where they called Barry to do something really quick. He goes from Central City to Star City and like picks them up, drops them off, and then goes all the way back in less than a second. And I'm like, you could do that, but then there's that one thing where what is it, a helicopter or something, and he can't catch it or something, and I'm just like,
like he's like chasing after a red tornado in one thing, and it's like, how
4 seconds.
Red Tornado is just like he's just flying. Like how can you not chase Red
Tornado? Like how is that even like I understand it's a show and they have 22 episodes a season, which is probably too long, but I don't even know why I said probably, definitely too long, but like it's just but anyway, I'm not gonna let's leave the CW out.
But but like let's say with Marvel, there was no instance of something like Quicksilver where like in Age of Ultron, half the time they were doing the thing where he would like see stuff in slow motion and like move stuff and like catch stuff and throw it back and like in slow motion. It was always she is moving faster than anyone can see. Like that is cool.
And it was cool too because it's like they didn't feel like they had to show you every individual movement and you need to see how like you can just kind of infer, oh, she did that super fast. That's it.
Yep. Like Icarus is just like standing still and you see her go like all around him, just like hitting him like every direction. Like that's what speedsters should look like. Yeah, in Justice League, every single time Flash is using his speed, you either see him just be like a blue blur, which I just realized one of his nicknames is Crimson Flash or
Scarlet.
Yeah, he's blue in that. Whatever. Like, why is his lightning blue in that movie when his thing?
Okay. Not the biggest problem with the movie. Not the biggest problem.
It's fine. True, but like we either see him just like running stupid fast with like the yellow lightning trailing around, or you like see him like in slow motion, moving slowly in slow motion, doing stuff. There's no in between, and I really like the way they showed Makari doing it. Yeah.
I just liked her character. I also kind of liked how she had like sign language.
Yes, the actress was deaf.
Right. But I liked how they used it because it was kind of almost like, I don't want to say this is bad, but it was almost, it kind of had the Chewbacca effect where like they can talk and she understands it, but then she signs back and then they get that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's kind of like it doesn't kind of make sense, but it kind of does. I kind of like that because it made it different. But I thought that was really
well,
cool.
like these people have been around each other for 7,000 years, and they showed earlier that she can sense vibration, so she probably can like hear them but can't actually talk.
Right. Yeah. But no, I thought that was really cool because it made it was different and unique, but it looks cool doing it. So it was just kind of like, oh yeah, this is just something extra that they pick up because they're awesome.
I wish that she was introduced in the modern time way earlier than she was, because she was just chilling on the ship. Like,
introvert life though. Don't tell me that wouldn't be you.
Like, oh, totally. If I could, like, if I had super speed, I would only ever leave for half a second just to grab something and come back. Like, I wouldn't
say go get a cookout tray and come back in super speed.
Honestly, exactly.
But no, definitely like her character.
Like even though she didn't get as much screen time as I feel she should have, I liked her quite a bit. I also really like Cersei's power. Basically alchemy power is just kind of OP, and they showed that it definitely is. I really like powers that, like, in theory you wouldn't think would be that good in combat, but they turn out to be, like, used in certain ways, like, are actually pretty strong. So yeah, I like that.
Okay, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Did Sprite seem like just Kid Loki?
I was just about to say, I think if you were to cut one character completely from the movie, I think Sprite should have been it. Like, I didn't love her much.
I like the character's personality, but I feel like as a character, as what was trying to be accomplished, was not really anything.
Yeah, I didn't get her deal. Because, like, again, I think the movie had at least 2 different scripts, and one of them involved her secret relationship with Icarus, that maybe also involved her trying to wrap around the fact that she looks like a 14-year-old her entire life, and that kind of limits what she can do.
But she's a shapeshifter. But
I guess she can't. I mean, in that scene in the club at the beginning where, like, that guy would have touched her hand, but, like, the hologram hand she made.
Yeah, I know.
She can't shapeshift. She can only create illusions.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's different. That is a lot different. Yeah, I know, but still.
But then at the end, when Cersei has the ability to turn her into a human, why didn't she just make her older as an Eternal?
Because the character didn't want to be in the next movie, or the actress probably.
I mean, the actress is only 14, so, like, I wouldn't be surprised if she just, like, had other stuff to do.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, I mean, did they really want the actress? I mean, maybe the actress didn't want to be in the next one, or maybe they're gonna get someone older. I don't know, but
you can do that. No, you can definitely do that by just, like, making her an older actress that looks like her.
Yeah.
Or
yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be a couple. I mean, it's probably going to be a couple years to Eternals 2 anyway. So I mean, it's probably going to age up anyway.
But also, I feel like from what she was saying, it didn't sound like she wanted to become a human. It sounded like she was just saying, "I don't want to look like I'm a child."
Well, so, yeah, because she wanted to be with Icarus, so it's like you kind of can't if you're human, because
Yeah, but we at that point, Chris had already flown into the sun in a very goofy yet very satisfying scene. Like, true. I'm sorry, my brother just busted out laughing in the middle of the theater when we saw Icarus just zoom up and just, like, fly very slowly into the sun. It was very funny.
It was. I mean, I guess they were trying to go for the, like, irony of Icarus, I guess, but
or, like, poetic justice or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. not quite Superman,
Yeah,
not
but
quite Wonder
like, yeah,
Woman.
so her, not only did they not really explain why she wanted to be with Icarus outside of that one throwaway line of the like of Peter Pan, how Tinkerbell wants to be with Peter but can't. Like, is she Peter, or sorry, is she Tinkerbell? But like, there's no other point before or after uh Tungi or Kingo said that was did was there any indication that she actually like loved him? It was more of a, I felt more of a respect and more like respect of his ideals type thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
And then at the last minute, she's like, "I'm on your side," and I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, wait. All this time, you're like, what do you mean? Like, you were totally on board with helping, and now it's like, yeet,
Mm,
jump ship because I like him. I'm like, oh, come on, now you're acting 14. Like,
yeah. uh, I don't
big
know.
plot
Like
twist.
I it is so weird to me though that I feel like this movie essentially gave us the what if Superman fought the rest of the Justice League so much more effectively than Justice League did. It's like, I'm sorry, but even in Zack Snyder's version, that fight at the at Superman's memorial just doesn't look right. I don't, especially like when there's that part of Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Cyborg just kind of like pushing on
Throwing,
him together.
yeah, and it doesn't
Doesn't
really. One, it's not an effective strategy at all, and two,
no.
it just kind of looks weird. It's kind
Yes.
of like, why are they just kind of all pushing? Like, you guys should be fighting and punching and
Yeah.
coordinating attacks, not just and he's like,
Mm,
yeah, like,
yeah, but here we have the speedster, supersonic hitting him every every nanosecond. We have the Wonder Woman stand in, doing what she can. We have uh Faces over there, who I also really like liked in this entire movie. Using his unique abilities. I feel like, and while all at the same time, even though it was like 5 against 1, I never felt like Icarus was actually like, I never felt like he was super overpowered, but I also felt like he wasn't getting overwhelmed, which I think is the right
yeah,
balance you want to be in for that kind of scene.
yeah. Like, I feel
And then
like
yeah.
Icarus should have gotten kind of washed because it doesn't feel like he has any. Like, they say he's the strongest, but I kind of wasn't feeling like it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like
That
if he's the strongest,
yes.
it wasn't like the gap like Superman has on the rest of the league. It felt more like
Mm,
he's the strongest, but like depending on the day.
yeah, and that's maybe a thing that I think this movie could have done a little better. I didn't really I couldn't really gauge how strong each individual Eternal was, because it felt like sometimes when Kingo, I think that's his name. Let me just look it up real quick. Yeah, when Kingo is shooting his little finger guns, sometimes they like just like the normal ones like blast a deviant across like across the field. Other times they just kind of like see minor annoyances. Sometimes when Icarus shoots lasers, they like get, again, the same. They like get slammed away. Sometimes they just like shake it off. Also doesn't help that like the lasers themselves don't really like feel that impactful.
They look
Um,
cool though.
yeah, I thought the other lasers looked really cool. Yeah.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, kind of because I could never really get the sense of how much damage the deviants could take before finally dying. I can never really get a good strong sense of how powerful each individual Eternal actually
Right.
was. Yeah.
And I think that like had a lot to do with too, because it's like you want to understand what's at stake in the power scaling, but then you kind of realize, okay, wait, like, are they stronger? Like, or are they just like smart? Like, you know what I mean? Because it was kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, I feel like Icarus wasn't, yeah, like I never felt like Icarus was like, all right, guys, don't make me do this. You guys know how the, you know what I mean? With the
Mm,
usual 1v the team goes where it's like, all right, guys, I don't know if we can all take him if he gets angry. It was like Hero was like, hold him still, I'm gonna cut his throat. Like they got him. But no, I
Yeah.
mean that was kind of, but yeah, that was a minor thing. But yeah.
Yeah, and like that also kind of bleeds into Athena versus the main deviant. Like, why did cutting him like that kill him when he has healing powers? Like,
I guess you
is
can't
he
heal your brain, I guess. But because
sure?
I mean, theoretically, I mean, what's her name should be? I mean, Ajax, right?
Yeah.
Ajax. I keep thinking of the like soap brand, whatever. So I
Oh.
said that because that's what was that Dollar Tree? That was like the biggest brand we had. So every time I hear that, I'm like thinking about the shelf. But yeah, like yeah, Ajax. I'm like, but then again, it's like I guess the same principle applies. Like, how can you die when you have healing powers? I guess, but
I guess. Oh well, I mean, she specifically died because that guy stole her powers.
yeah,
So,
but okay, yeah,
yeah.
okay, that's on me.
But like I feel like again, I feel like in the original script where that deviant was the main villain, I want to believe that he was being in a more interesting way where yes, maybe he did absorb 2 or 3 different Eternals powers, but also like, gained all their memories. And because you introduced the Mad Weary earlier, like after having 2 or 3 different, different consciousness in your head, after you tried to absorb Angelina Jolie's, and like partway through that, like just the just the mass of all those memories together just basically imploded on themselves. I think that could have been maybe less interesting, but at the same time better than just cutting him into a couple of pieces.
Yeah.
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 Again, also kind of having that through line of memories, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, it was a little satisfying how she just God, like I was like, oof, like face cut. But like
it did look cool, but I feel like it was a little too easy.
yeah, definitely.
Also, but again, I guess he wasn't really the main villain, so it didn't have to be like super impactful.
Yeah, because if they had made it a
Like,
whole thing, it would have felt like it was ending when it wasn't,
yeah, like
Especially she killed him by herself too. It was kind of like
yeah.
anticlimactic.
Again, you should have just not even have him show up for the climax. Just be like he's just out there somewhere, I guess, or even
Save
worse,
him for the
not
next
have him,
one.
just not have him in the movie. Just not have him in the
Save
movie.
him for the next. Save him for the next one. There's never. I mean,
Yeah.
how many eternal threat villains are we really gonna have?
Yeah, like I have a feeling that even if Secret Evasion, I think there's a Disney Plus show of that happening. I don't think a Super Scroll was actually in the cards. So if you can essentially have a deviant Super Scroll type thing, I feel like that could have been actually a pretty cool, but they wasted it. So well.
I could always, I don't know, but yeah, I didn't. What did you think about? I'm trying to think what other characters because
I
there's 10 of
didn't
them,
like
right?
Drew. I didn't like Druig at all. The mind guy, I didn't like his deal.
I wanted to like him, but it was hard. They made it very hard to like him on purpose. It felt like,
Yes.
and I feel like that's not great because I feel, especially when you don't really get his side of the character.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's kind of unfair to him because it's like I feel like this character's not that bad, but because they wrote him like that, it's kind of like you have no choice but to like generally at least dislike him.
Yeah, I also felt that they were going for in that one flashback where Ajax tried to disband the team and Druig went off and mind controlled an entire civilization. I thought they were building him up to be a major antagonist.
Mm-hmm. I thought him and Icarus together would have been a good because yeah, if they had to split into bigger teams, like that would have made more sense because they kind of had the similar ish vibes, kind of. So at least in that way.
Yeah, like also just the way, like his demeanor and just the way he talked, just what he said just sounded evil. Like even when he was on good, like if this was an animated movie, I would clock him. That guy is gonna be bad later. Like there's always that one where you're like, you tell he's gonna be evil.
Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, it's like it's like, yeah, it's like the character in every kids show, like who shows up, and then it's like, oh, that's the only character with all black clothes. He's already got the like scar over his eye. Oh, hello, children. Like, oh, I wonder who is gonna be this time. Like,
I have like a little slouch, like clearly has like some kind of accent. Like he's so evil.
Right? Yeah, like he talks and just happens to start storming outside. Like, oh, come on. Like, yeah, I get like, this guy definitely seemed like the guy, because especially how much he was into like mind control. Like, oh, this guy's definitely gonna like, yeah.
Yeah, but then he just kind of wasn't. And like that's fine, I guess, but he didn't really do a lot during the climax. So I don't know why he wasn't a bad guy.
He didn't really do a lot in the movie, which I felt bad. Because my thing was like, I feel like if you can't mind control the other Eternals, you kind of, your power kind of sucks in this fight because you can't really do anything with it.
Yeah, and like I guess it would have been a little messy for the climax to be Druig, Icarus, and like a whole army of just dudes like running at Athena and the others. Like that would have been a little much, maybe.
Well, I thought they were gonna do it where like he could control the what is it?
Deviants?
Yeah, like that would have been interesting. Could have had an army of them.
Yeah.
Like that would have, he's like they like lead the fight. They're like,
or have the main guy absorb his powers and have that guy like have an army. Wow, that would have been fun.
Like, wow, that would have been that would have been some plot now, wouldn't it? Oh man.
Like imagine that guy having auto healing, being the strongest guy in the planet because he got Gilgamesh's power and a mind control. Like that would have been
game over.
Game over, man.
Game over. Game over. I just love it. I call Gilgamesh, like I call his power them hands because he just so satisfying. Like you didn't have to, just like, oh, such a great power. But yeah, like that would have been so, yeah, because again, like, and again, he doesn't have to go full Amazo and just take every single person's power, but like, yeah, just having 2 or 3 of the good ones is all you really need.
Yeah.
You don't need like super speed also. I feel like that would have been just overkill. Like, yeah, if you had like, yeah, like you said, like have like the super strength, mind control, and the healing, like pretty much set. But just don't.
Yeah, but I think Icarus being a villain worked fine enough. I think it maybe could have been explained slightly better. But overall, I think that was the right choice for this movie to have one of the Eternals be a villain. I think he was like probably the best choice. If you're not going with that deviant who you tried to set up as a villain, then but wasn't like the main villain. If you're gonna do that, have one of the Eternals be the main villain. I think Icarus was the right choice.
Yeah. Or, yeah, I think so.
Although, like I said, Druig being a villain was, I thought was the obvious choice.
Honestly, I thought Ajax was gonna be the villain until she died. But I mean, like that was it gave up that sell because it was like, oh, she's the one who knows everything, and they all just follow her orders. And I'm like, bro, she's totally manipulating you guys.
And she was posthumously.
Yeah, like and I was kind of just like, okay, guys, obviously, like, especially I was like, oh, they're not gonna really get rid of Salma Hayek that early, are they? Yes.
Kinda, yeah.
Yes, they are. Because I thought she was gonna come back or something, or like it was, like who's behind this? Ajax. And I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for you Eternals. Like, you know what I mean? Like some kind of crazy reveal at the end, but nah. I wonder. I wonder how they feel about it, because I wonder if they signed up for this. Like, yes, I'm going to be in the Marvel, and then like, no, yes, but not really.
I mean, I the fact that Chloe Zhao was allowed to kill off Selma Hayek not even a third of the way through your movie, I think that was.
Yeah.
I think like Kevin Feige, the fact that he allowed that to happen meant that several parties were okay with it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But still, like, I don't know. That had potential. So I feel like that. I don't know. Again, I don't know, because again, I feel like how much of the Eternal is going to be interacting with everyone else. I feel like they're kind of.
I think they're gonna be interacting with the Guardians and maybe Thor more so than
Yeah.
anyone else, and I guess by extension Blade potentially because spoilers.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure if that's really going to tie much into the Eternal stuff in the future. But I could very easily see the Guardians at some point interacting with.
Yeah, they do
interacting
seem
with them.
more of a guard, especially with what's his name being?
Harry Styles.
Well, that too, which is hilarious. My best friend was crying. She was so happy, and I was like, I was actually like, wait, who is that? That guy? I know that face. He's famous. But I couldn't, because I was thinking about actors, and I was like, who is that?
He's acted before in like a couple of
What, in
things.
the One Direction movie? Is that good?
I was freaking out over Patton Oswalt finally being in the MCU.
Yes.
He was on Agents of Shield, but that doesn't count.
That doesn't count.
He's one of those actors that like even if he tries to do a voice, I'm like, that's Patton. Like that there's like
his voice
works.
is too, like, you can't really disguise his voice. It's very, very much like a hey, how you doing? Like, you know who
It's a very good voice.
Yes.
I was surprised that I think his voice perfectly fit that character. I'm just surprised they didn't get him for a bigger role, but at the same time, he's perfect in that role, so it's okay.
Yeah. He doesn't have to be the headliner.
Like Patton Oswalt on Twitter, like the week up to it was like retweeting Eternal stuff and like getting people like I hope you all watch Eternals tonight. Like I didn't even like put it together that he might be in the movie. Like he was just, I know he's a comic nerd, so I thought he was just excited for Marvel.
What a nice guy promoting this movie. He has absolutely nothing to do with it. Yeah, I mean, having to wait till the after credit scene just to hear his voice, that is pretty commendable, though. But yeah, and
Well,
okay,
go
ahead. No, go. No,
that guy, that like Kingo's assistant guy with the camera, best character in the movie.
Yes. Yes.
Like I love that scene of Kingo, doing the Kamehameha and hitting the guy. It's like, did we get it? Like, we sure did, sir.
He's like, he kills the Greg and blows his head off. Please tell me you got that. We got it. Like he's like I don't know what the word is for those characters, but there's always like that character who's the obscure but super lovable character that every like franchise needs. Is like, yes, like,
yep.
Oh yeah, instant fan favorite. Like,
yes.
I'm so glad he didn't die. I was so scared they were gonna kill him. Please don't. Like, if anyone dies, don't be him. I don't care if the world gets taken over. Like,
yep.
What a legend. Also, okay, so this was hilarious, but like at the very beginning when they're at like 5,000 BC or something, and the guy, they see the like deviant or whatever coming in the water, and the guy tells his kid run, and then gets like mauled or whatever, and then the Eternal shows up like 2 seconds later. I'm like, wow, you couldn't have like,
my
jogged it out a little bit. Like,
you couldn't show up on this planet 2 seconds earlier.
Right? Bad, because I said that immediately. We all started laughing. I'm like, wow, I'm like, man, you really had to make sure.
Everyone gets one.
That's what I'm
You get one
saying. I'm like,
human.
man, you couldn't have like been a little quicker, especially knowing that like they probably saw that happen. Like they couldn't have been that
Probably.
far away. So like,
Yeah.
probably if you had an eyeball that you probably could have still blasted him before he just totally ate that guy's dad.
Yeah.
But I mean,
although
dramatic.
the way the Eternals and the Deviants, the way the one Celestial explained their existence, I was a little confused as to like, were the Deviants only on Earth because the Eternals were on their way there? Did they show up because the Eternals were near? Was it a thing where the Celestial like sent them both simultaneously on purpose?
That's what I thought it was.
But
That kind of
why?
made it because their purpose or whatever. Like that's kind of, and that's why I thought they were gonna go into it with the whole like, deviants having a backstory. Because I thought it was gonna be a whole like, it's not our fault. This is what they're doing. We're all just pawns on the same chessboard kind of thing. That's what I thought they were gonna do. And that's why I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah, the Deviants could still be evil and like could still be compelling antagonists, but it could be a thing like after they deal with the antagonists, they like realize, oh, the Celestials are like actually not good people, and that's gonna be like the next step. Like we need to like kind of revolt against them potentially, and then he just whips them all into space for some insubordination or something. Like I think that could have been something, but maybe that's a little too big for right now. At the same time, they still did go against their wishes, so I don't know. Yeah, the many plots of this movie was a bit confusing.
Yeah, I feel like they kind of had multiple ideas, didn't just pick one. They kind of just picked, okay, well, I like this from your story, I like this from that story, and this from that story, and then it's kind of, well, they don't know, like, well, the audience doesn't really know, so we'll just throw it together and they'll just say, okay, and then we'll have Kevin Feige figure it out later.
Yeah, and I think it works fine enough. Although I am very, very curious how the rest of the Marvel Universe is going to react to the fact that there is half a face and a hand just in the Pacific Ocean.
Yep.
Indian Ocean. It's just, you can see it from space. Like, how did that not create worldwide calamity?
Because there was only 10 minutes in the movie left. We didn't have time to fix it. To be fair, though, I mean, it's not like there isn't other crazy stuff going on in the universe right now. They're busy.
But outside of Thanos, like that's like the biggest thing that's ever happened directly to Earth, and it happened in the last 10 minutes of a 2.5 hour movie, and we just like supposed to accept that the rest of the world is fine after that much of the Earth crust was moved and shifted.
We've got like a month before all of reality is probably manipulated anyway. It's fine. It's probably not even gonna be there next time.
Yeah, like I think this movie actually takes place well before Spider-Man Far From Home. So like, which I don't think Far From Home knew. I don't think Far From Home, the movie, knew that this was going to happen in Eternals when that was made. So,
no.
So I hope there's no inconsistencies from that happening.
But, well, they did a good job of like not saying, they just said present day every time. So they didn't really say when it was or what's happened. All you know is at some point after
Endgame. Yeah.
Endgame. That is whenever they decide to put it later. So that's, and I think that's what they should kind of always do, because like I feel like when you put specific dates, times, years, etc. on stuff, then you can kind of get writing blocked, and then you're like, oh crap, we have to write around this because I wrote that and this, that. But
yeah, because
like the present.
Yeah. So kind of like because Spider-Man Homecoming exists, they were able to do it well enough, but they had to essentially write around the fact that it said 8 years later and be like, oh, I guess the first Avengers happened in 2009. Sure.
Totally wasn't exactly when it was supposed to be, but okay.
Like they wrote those movies well enough where it's like, yeah, sure, why not? Phase 1 takes place in a week and a half. Like this can happen. Sure, why not? And then yeah, like phase 2 takes place over like 6 years, I guess. And then Homecoming. It's like, okay. Like it
Yeah,
works well enough, I guess.
I don't know. Yeah, that's something. It's like it's complicated, but we'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. But well,
Um,
I,
mm,
yeah, we'll see how they go. Because again, like, because it ended with them just kind of going to who knows where, right?
yeah, the Celestial just kind of like taking the ones from Earth and taking them out into space for judgment, and then the others meeting up with Star Fox, Eros, whatever. Uh being like, I know where they are, they're in trouble, we should go help them. And then so they're gonna do that at some point,
Yeah,
either in Guardians 3 or in Eternals 2, which I guess is probably gonna happen.
yeah, that's probably going to happen. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't just end on a cliffhanger and then like not bring it back ever, can you?
Yeah. But in the meantime, we have Kit Harington's character becoming the Black Knight and teaming up with freaking Blade.
Heck
Because
yeah,
why not?
heck yeah. Thought they were gonna show Blade, but it's fine.
I mean, that was clearly like he was not on set. That was just like ADR, but like
I
it's
know, but I was hoping they were gonna do something with that. But
because at first I thought that was Jeffrey Wright's Watcher from What If. Like it sounded just like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was later like, oh, Blade, yeah, okay. Like I guess I haven't really heard Mahershala Ali's voice in a while, so I can like clock it
Yeah,
immediately.
see
But
it. I mean, now, I mean, if there was a movie that the Watcher just decided to be in, it would probably would have been this one.
yeah, I mean, like, you
Stuff
guys
got
have messed
real.
up too much. Are you sure you want to like? Don't do that. It'll
It'll
mess
be
up
like,
everything.
okay, guys, I'm taking over. Give me the wheel. Like, y'all are messing this up. But
Yeah, so like maybe Kit Harington will show up in Blade. Maybe they'll both show up at some point in the Moon Knight show. We already know that Blade is going to at least cameo in that at some point.
woo.
Like that's yeah, like the fact that the fact that the Marvel universe is expanding so fast, I thought was going to be a little problematic at first, because like we have, you know, multiverse stuff happening very quickly. We have more space stuff happening very quickly. Like all these other, you know, teams and people and just other entities being formed on Earth, just very like on a very rapid pace. I'm a
And
little
Hawkeye.
and Hawkeye. I'm,
Sorry.
because like I can only assume that the rings from Shang-Chi were signaling the impending celestial judgment, but we don't actually know if that's the case.
10 rings, 10 Eternals. Coincidence?
Yes,
Yeah.
probably. I don't know.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. But
But
because we speculate, we're going to anyway.
yes. So I'm a little concerned about how busy it's getting right now. Like we know that Kang is coming at some point. We know that the
Right. Ant-Man 3,
Celestials,
right?
which probably implies Galactus, is coming at some point.
I did get some Galactus vibes from those things. You know what I mean? So maybe
Yes, like the
Galactus.
one that was coming out of Earth, literally like the top of his head looked exactly like Galactus. Like I was like, is that Galactus? Like
I was
what
like,
is
they.
this?
I was like, they wouldn't. Not yet.
I know they
From the
called him
top
Tiamat,
row.
but like that looks a lot like Galactus.
Oh my god. Maybe Galactus is like the Judgment
that
Supreme,
that could work, I think, because
right?
like I've never really liked him in the comics, where he's just this omnipotent force that just kind of goes around eating plants just because. I do think if they changed him where like he's a celestial they send to a planet that they deem shouldn't exist anymore. I think that could be pretty cool.
Comes for a snack. Like, all right,
Yeah.
they said y'all don't need to be here. I'm gonna eat it. Like, don't eat it.
Yep.
I'm gonna eat it. Like,
I just hope that doesn't get too intertwined with the whole Kang stuff, because like Kang is a big deal as he is. Galactus is an even bigger deal as he
Yeah.
is. So like give each their due well enough, and I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. And we have time. So again, they don't have to, and they haven't even like, Kang we know is a thing. Like, we don't know anything. Galactus is kind of just a theory at this point. So like,
Yeah.
we'll see. Plus, don't we need the Silver Surfer before we get Galactus anyway?
We need Fantastic Four at some point.
Exactly. So like, we got time theoretically.
Yes. Yeah.
So like, maybe that's a phase 5 thing.
Yeah, like I knew Harry Styles was gonna be in the movie going in as Thanos' brother, but I forgot that while watching the movie. So like when Patton Oswalt showed up, I was like, "Don't you tell me this is one of his heralds? Like we're not doing this now. Like this is not a Galactus herald. Be like, hi, just let you know, Galactus is coming. Bye." And then like that would have been something. Thankfully, it wasn't. But
not this time.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Just as long as they don't make Galactus into another big stupid space cloud like they did in Rise of Silver Surfer. Just don't do that again.
Just make it a bit like literally. Just make it like a big dude who you just have his face just like CGI.
I mean, yeah, like we already have the Celestials. Like we already see what they look like. They look good. Yeah, just do, even if you think the face is too goofy, I'd be fine enough with them changing it in a way, as long as like he's still purple and like looks enough like Galactus. I think I'd be fine with it, but I do want the face.
Yeah, no, just like it, it shouldn't be that big of a deal, but I don't know. But again, I think Galactus is probably further down the road, because again, I think Kang probably the main phase 4 person, and then phase 5. Like as phase 4 ends, we get maybe like Fantastic Four, maybe some X-Men and stuff, and then phase 5 comes in, and it's like, okay, now we can just be like, hey, let's throw everything we've got.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Somehow escalate from there.
Yeah, and then go back to Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Keep it balanced
too.
Right. That's why I feel bad. It was like, wow, we literally just did the Eternals, and like, oh wow, Hawkeye comes out later this month. It's like, how is anyone gonna care about a bow and arrow? We literally had like Celestials like last week. Like,
I don't know. But I'm sure that show is at least gonna be decent.
Yeah.
Like
I'm excited still.
Like I said, Eternals, I think overall I did really enjoy it. The parts that were boring, because the characters, I thought the relationships were interesting enough, I didn't like check out really. I was confused more than I was bored, which I think is better.
But I feel like confusion's gonna wear off into boredom though. Because
on repeat viewings potentially, but it could be a thing where on repeat viewings you understand it better, as opposed to a boring movie. You're not really gonna get that much more enjoyment after rewatching.
But like we said earlier, it's like maybe the more you know about it, the worse it gets, because then you learn more and you're like, wait, that's not clever. That's actually just bad.
Could happen. That could happen.
I don't know. I'm being devil's advocate, because why not?
Yeah. Like essentially right now I'm hovering around a 7.5. It could go up to an 8, it could go down to a 7. But right now, like 7.5 is like about where I'm feeling.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking like 6.5, 7, because like I like it. I do. But again, because I feel like they didn't flesh out the relationships for most of the characters, I feel like that made it suffer a lot, because I didn't really feel anything when things were happening with them. Like, I felt the worst when Gilgamesh died.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I was like, no. That was like the one Eternal I think was like Hair and the Speed one were the two best ones, and I was like, do not harm them. They are the best.
Yep.
But
yeah, like literally, if that one deviant either didn't come back for the climax or just was just not in the movie, he was essentially replaced by just some other, one or two other like kind of strong deviants, but not like a through line villain. If that were the case, easy 8 at least. But because that he's there and kind of messing with the flow and messing with the themes and plot overall, I have to go with a 7.5 right now.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have anything last minute you want to talk about the movie?
No, I'm okay.
You sure?
Okay.
Looked
No,
like you
I
had
do have
something.
I do have a story. Okay. So I want to tell the people now. I am on record. I think we kind of both are on record of giving crap to Showtime because it's that service that like it comes with, or at least when I got Spotify, it comes with like Spotify and Hulu, and I was like, oh, and Showtime, and I was like, no, I don't want. No. I insist. I don't want. And whether I liked it or not, I was getting Showtime. So I had Showtime, and I've had it for what, like 5 years? I think we said like
About
5 years. Like a Spotify Hulu bundle with Showtime. Have never ever used Showtime to watch anything in that entire time. One day, about a week or two ago, I'm trying to find The Wolf of Wall Street because I want to watch it. Me and my brother want to watch it. It's a crazy movie. Highly recommend. If you haven't seen it, don't watch it with your parents if your parents are like mine. So, crazy movie. Definitely want to watch it. Can't find it anywhere. It's like, oh, you have to pay here. You have to pay here. This, there. Only if you get this premium subscription. This, that. And then I see it. And it says free on Showtime. And I said, are you kidding me? The prodigal son of streaming has finally shown. And I said, no, this can't be real. So first of all, I don't have Showtime on any of my apps. I don't have it on my TV, my PlayStation, anything. So I have to go download Showtime, and then I have to remember what my password is because I'm like, oh my God, I've never used this. I have no idea what my password. I have to go in. I finally figure it out. I get logged into Showtime, and I'm like, wow. Okay, I've been here since like sophomore year of college, but I go in, I look in, I type in, I type it in, movies on there. There's no catch, there's no with purchase, there's no nothing. Just go 3 hours, just go for it. And I have to say, this is me officially saying, I am sorry, Showtime. You were the real MVP. You came in clutch, and I'm gonna stop clowning you. I apologize, but man, he had us in the first half. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, like I don't think I've ever used it outside of one time. I wanted to watch Terminator 1, and it wasn't on Netflix, but Terminator 2 was, and it was randomly on Showtime. But outside of that one time,
right,
I haven't used it ever. But like, I can find Terminator 2 and other things. That was just where it was. But like the fact that Wolf of Wall Street of all things is on Showtime, and that's
sometimes you just need some more F-bombs. You're just like, what's a movie that's really gonna earn that R rating?
Yeah, that'll do it.
But if you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It is a great movie. It gets a little wild, and by a little I mean a lot. But
I mean, y'all probably have Showtime. It comes with none of them, but also every streaming service. So like you have it. You didn't actually pay for it.
You didn't ask for it, but you have it anyway. So go on Showtime, get the one movie that's worth watching. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what else is on there, but
no idea.
No idea. Would not know. Couldn't. Gun to my head. No idea. But seriously, like Showtime came through. I have to admit, I was surprised. I didn't think I would ever use it. I did. Is that the only time I'm ever going to use it? Probably. But
you'll have it just in case.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just going to keep it. I'm going to have it. It's going to be one of those apps on my phone that I just have. I'm going to forget about it. Probably never open it again. But the next time there's an obscure movie I can't find anywhere. I know who to look. I know where to look because I'm like, if
There's
no
a
one
chance.
has it, whatever it's the streaming service no one asked for, but everyone has, and it came through. So next time you need a movie and you can't find it anywhere, go check Showtime because you have it. As well.
So yeah, let us know down below if you've ever used Showtime, what you thought of Eternals, and yeah, anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
If you please let us know if there's something on Showtime we should be watching, because again,
Right.
I want to use it, and by I want to, I mean like sure, but like yeah, let us know, give us recommendations, anything. If you can't tell by now, if it's like superhero related, we're probably interested. So like there's a clue. Like let us know.
Sci-fi, fantasy,
Yeah.
you know, crime drama, like
Anything.
anything that happens to be your favorite show that's on Showtime.
Yeah.
Let us know. Yeah. With that, we'll see you all next time.
Take care, guys.